Hey guys, welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. In this channel, I make a lot of videos on how to create your own website, how to create your own e-commerce or WooCommerce website and start making money online by selling products online. If you're new to this channel, please remember to hit the subscribe button. You can find it at the bottom of the video and just hit subscribe. Please like this video if you like my content and remember to leave me a comment below. Talk to me, let me know what you like about the videos, what you don't like about the videos, what I can do to improve on these videos. And if you're new to the channel as well, if you go to the description, there is video timestamps available for you if you want to jump ahead to certain sections of the video. If you don't want to watch the entire video, please feel free to utilize those video timestamps and follow us on our social media channels. We've got a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page, and let's start learning. In this video, I want to discuss something often overlooked when building online stores. This is one of the most important elements because it's the legal part of doing an online store. And I want to discuss what we call the terms of service privacy policy, refunds and return policy, and shipping policy, which is those legal pages that each and every single e-commerce store needs to have. Technically, nobody is going to require this of you, but clients will not take you seriously or purchase from your store if you do not have any one of these policies. And Google Shopping, Facebook Shopping as well, you will not be able to install and use those applications if you do not have these policies. There are legal requirements in a lot of countries. You have to have them so you can explain to your clients what happens and what are the rules and regulations around your store. It just helps to put everything on paper. It's also a good thing to do for your own protection, so that if there's any disagreements in the future where you and your client have some sort of, things that you're not quite sure of, that conflicts, you can always point them back to the policies and say, but you agree to these policies before you purchase from a store, and this is what we have documented, and these are the rules and regulations, and it can help to clear out a lot of disagreements also in the future. So let's start by discussing the terms of service. This is the most important policy that you need to have in your online store, and I'm going to use this store that I recently did for a client of mine quite recently to show you some of these policies, just demonstrate them to you. And if you want more information, just let me know in the comments below, perhaps templates, and I can sort you out. But it's really important that you do these policies yourself. But what I want to do in this video is to show you what you need to make sure that you have in this policy document. Now, the first one is what we call, the cookie policy. All right, the cookie policy, it's something that looks like that sits at the bottom of your page like that, and it's just a statement that says, we in this website are using cookies to store your information, which if you're building a web store on WooCommerce would be the case. Okay, if you followed any of my tutorials, you're definitely going to be using cookies on your website, and clients just need to be let know that there are cookies that you're using on your website, and they must accept these cookies to be installed on their computers, so they don't come back later and sue you that, hey, you had cookies on your website, but you didn't even let me know. So this is important, and you need to have this appearing on the front page, and it should be something that's sort of destructive on your website, that people can't do anything without accepting it. It must be clear, to the point, and you put it on the bottom end of this, and and they will click accept, and once they do that, the policy is always there. So everywhere they visit on your website, they will have this cookie policy, and there is a plugin for this, and I will link it in the description below, so that you can just employ and use and make sure that you have a proper cookie policy. Now, on this website that I've just did, it's amazing. If you guys are interested in scatter pillows, okay, this is not going to be the final domain for it. I'm going to transfer it to a client's domain, but I've just recently did this, and I thought it would be the perfect place to show you these policies. The first one is the terms and conditions, right? So our terms and conditions, in South Africa we call it terms and conditions, a lot of African countries, but I think in Europe, the UK, the US, it's sometimes referred to as the terms of service. Okay, this is the most important policy document that you need to have on your website, and you will have this policy on your website whether you're doing a e-commerce store or any other normal website. This is just a description of what is happening and how everything works on your website. Okay, the first thing that you need to explain in your terms of service is your actual proper registered company name. You want to be clear about, this is the company that we are the company that have built this website. okay, and put in the URL description of your website. And we are telling you that if you accept to use this website of ours, you are agreeing to these terms of service. And if you do not agree to these terms of service, well, you're welcome to exit our website at any point. This is the most important statement you need to make at the beginning of your terms of service, that it is a prerequisite that you are agreeing to these terms of service by using our website, okay? And then after that, you will go into details to explain your terms of service. Now, the terms of service for an online store is slightly different from a website, because on an online store you have to specify the specific terms of the online shopping and everything that happens in there, okay? So again, you start by mentioning the terms of your online store. You have your general conditions, okay, all the rights. You have the right to, for example, like the store can go down, if there's no network connection, the prices can change, somebody can come back and sue you later. And one day I have a screenshot of your website where you were selling this item for like 50 Rand and now it's 1,000 Rand or whatever, you're misrepresenting. I mean, things like that. You've got to mention all of this in your terms of service, that we reserve the right to change products, and we do not have to inform you when we are changing the product prices. We can have products out of stock. We can have products not in stock. I mean, a lot of these things are very, very important, okay, that you mention them in terms of service, because you don't want to get into trouble for things like that. Accuracy of information. This is important, especially if you have blogs on your site. If you sort of mention certain statements, and with SEO, you're sort of required to always have outside links link to other websites and things like that. And sometimes the website you're linking to, there might be some inaccuracies in the information they're providing. You don't want a client coming back to you and saying, you know what, I went to this website from your link on your website, and that website said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that information was untrue, and then they're coming back to sue you for it. Okay, so you gotta make sure that you're listing all these things, that whatever information is on this website, we're not saying it's accurate to this point, but this is what we're providing you as is. I mean, that all of that documentation, you've got to actually list it. I mean, I know that technically, it's sort of obvious that people can just trust everything they're reading on the internet, even if they got a link from your website. But these are the kind of like loopholes that if people wanted to just bring you down as a small business, they could use and sue you for something stupid like, I got a link of your website that led me to a place where I lost money, for example. So you want to make sure you list these things, just even if it's a way to just protect yourself, that nobody can come back in future and find a little loophole and try to get on your case for it, okay? All right, modifications, of course, this is what I was mentioning before. You can change the prices of your items without providing any prior warning or reasons why you change your prices. This is very, very important, especially with sales. Every time you bring in sales and you have discounts and specials, you want to make sure this is very, very clear. Nobody comes to you and says, no, but I've got a screenshot of your website where your price was this and now it's that. Okay, things like that. Okay, products and services. These are the products we're supplying. We're supplying them as is. We're supplying them as indicated in the picture. Here, you also want to mention, especially with online stores, that sometimes pictures might be slightly different from what you're going to see. For example, like this product sells like pillows. Perhaps, the color might look like it's green, but then it might turn out to be sort of light green, not dark green, so you don't want people to be on your case about, but the color on your website is not exactly as the color that you send me. Sometimes the screen shows colors differently. So you gotta be sure about explaining to people that this is the best representation of what we are selling to you. This is a major problem for online stores, especially if you're selling like makeup and a lot of other things that you said it was a red color, and then when it arrived at the client side it was sort of maroon and not red, and then people want their refunds and they want to sue you for that. Or not even wanting to sue you, you could lose a lot of money if a lot of people want to just get their monies back because the color is not red, it's not the right shade of red they thought, is a little bit maroon or dark red. So you want to be clear about those kind of things as well in your terms of service, all right? And then the other thing is billing and account information. This is where also you want to refer to your returns policy, you want to refer to your privacy policy, but you need to be clear about the information that the billing address and all of that the clients are going to provide you on your website, and also what you're going to do with it. And we're going to go a little bit into the privacy policy, because if you're running an online store, you are technically collecting people's information. You have to collect people's information so that you can be able to, process their order. You need to know where they live, their phone number, their email address, and so forth. And most e-commerce stores are built to do that. So you gotta have a policy also that explains what happens with that information, and that is done in detail in the privacy policy. And we'll go through that also a little bit later, okay? And then there's a lot of things, third-party links, user comments, feedback, submissions. If they read something on your website and there's a comment from somebody else, especially when you've got blogs, they gotta know what that means or what it doesn't mean. I mean, this is not our representation. If a user made a comment on our website, that is the user's point of view, and just explaining all of those details is very, very important, okay? And this is the point where we also refer back to the personal information on the privacy policy. You've got to have, at minimum, for an e-commerce store, you've got to have both a privacy and a terms of service policy. The rest, obviously, are also required, but these are legally required. If you don't have these, you could find yourself in a whole lot of hot water. And if you have these, but you haven't written them properly, because some people, when they go into business, they just focus on making money. You just think, okay, I'm gonna create this store, I wanna sell a lot of things, I wanna make lots of money, and you just go copy and paste a policy from somebody's website, and you're not quite sure what it is. I mean, I'd highly recommend, even if you use somebody's template, at the very minimum, read through it and make sure you understand what is in that policy for yourself, okay? If you have a little bit of money, hire a lawyer to just look through it and make sure that there are no loopholes on your behalf, especially someone that is experienced in e-commerce. And these are the legal things that people don't always take note of, but these are the things that have gotten a lot of people in a lot of water, gotten people to lose money. People start even just demanding refunds, okay, that alone can bring you down, because you, as an e-commerce store, you just cannot afford. And if you were the one on the wrong because you didn't specify it in the privacy policy or in the terms of condition, and you got no foot to stand on, you gotta give people refunds, you're gonna be in the wrong business, okay? So you gotta define these things for your own protection and for your client's protection, okay? And then you're gonna go into disclaimers, limitation of liability. You have to be very clear about the disclaimers that you're giving. Some people might choose to have a separate policy for disclaimer, which is all right. But I think in terms of an e-commerce store, you can actually just have it as a paragraph, as a section in your terms of condition, because there's very little that you have to discuss about this, okay? This is like trying to, explain to the client what you're liable for and what you're not liable for, based on the information that is on your website, what you guarantee, what you don't guarantee, and the kind of things people can expect, okay? Indemnifications, all of this, termination, entire agreement, governing law, you've got to do this, okay? Now, because we know that e-commerce stores are usually global, I can create a store here today, and once it's done, anybody can buy from it. But in my case, I've specifically limited the geographical reach of the store from the back end, that you can only purchase from it in South Africa. So if you're outside of South Africa, you wouldn't be able to purchase from the store. I mean, you would not be able to enter your address and purchase, because I've limited it. But many people don't, and they want to ship globally, because they feel, I'm going to get more clients that way. And obviously you make more money shipping globally, but then you've got to be careful about the laws and regulations globally. In South Africa, the cookie policy is not a must for you to have, but if you're going to ship to people like places like Europe, the US, you've got to have a cookie policy, because you can get into trouble there, all right? But you also have to specify the country of the laws that are applicable for your online store. So I'm based in South Africa, and you've got to have this line in your terms of service that the laws that are going to govern in case there are a dispute. So if somebody wants to sue you, they have to come and sue you here in South Africa, where the laws of South Africa are going to apply, okay? Even if that person bought off your store in the US, they cannot say, no, I'm suing you, and go to the high court in the US, and somehow you must go and address the case there. What this means that they're agreeing to this policy, that if there's any sort of misfortunes, disagreements in the future, and I really gotta sue you, he's gonna have to come and sue you here with the laws of South Africa. That's basically what it means. And this is also another important one that says, okay, and people don't read these terms of service, I know, but you gotta have this in your terms of service. This says, I can change these terms of service at any point, and I don't gotta inform you when I do that, okay? If you read any terms of service, this line is always there. This is important because if you, for example, decide, okay, fine, I'm going to add something new to my terms of service, you can do that, okay? And you can just change it on your website. And you don't have to inform people that it's changed. It's people's responsibility to regularly visit your website to see the latest terms of service at the time they are making a purchase, okay? And then you got to have some information there about how people can get in touch with you in case they want to clarify something. This is important. And as a business person, you're going to have to learn how to write this to suit your own needs as a business person, right? We know how we all use all these websites, Facebook, and we never read the terms of service. Very likely your clients won't read this either, but some clients do. Okay, there are very astute clients out there that will read these terms of service, and it's important that you write them right, okay? So that's the first one, okay? After the terms of service, the next most important policy that you gotta have is your privacy policy. The privacy policy governs how you deal with the privacy of your client's information. So there's a lot of laws coming into the protection of people's information, especially in South Africa. There's a new one, I think just came out this year, the POPI Act, that talks about, all the things you got to be responsible for taking care of your client's information. You are now liable if somebody provides information on your website, whether they're purchasing something and you are given that information, and you're supposed to use it just for the processing of the order. That's all you're going to use that information for. Okay, you are no longer allowed to just I got these email addresses now. I'm just going to now send, whatever. I'm just going to send like sales emails every day. Well, you provided me with the email address. It doesn't work that way anymore. Nowadays, you also got to have, if you want to use that email address to send clients future information, you got to have that opt-in box that they can click and say, okay, I opt in for marketing emails. And within those marketing emails, you're going to have an option for them to opt out at any time. Okay, this is very important. This is legal. This is a legal requirement now. And I'm just going to show you this quickly. These are, if the place where you'll collect the information is on the cart. So let's say this client decides to add this to their cart, okay? So this will be added quickly to their cart. And then I'm going to just go to the cart there, all right? View the cart. And once I'm in the cart, you can see you're shipping to Gauteng, and this is the price of everything in the cart. Okay, I'm not logged in yet, but I just wanted to show you before you can check out. Here's a checkout page. There you go. I'm not gonna fill in the information because I'm not quite checking out, but this is where you collect people's personal information, right? You collect their names, all right? You collect their address. And this is where you have to make a payment, whether they direct or pay fast. But what I want to show you here is the terms and conditions. The people have to accept the terms and conditions before they place the order. And your form must be in such a way that if this is not ticked, this button doesn't work. Okay, this is very, 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 very important. Okay, not all web templates have this, okay, and it's very easy to overlook it. Okay, you need to be, this is a secondary requirement, that they understand the privacy policy and that they accept the terms and conditions. They've got to accept it before they place an order, so that you are guaranteed that by the time you receive their personal information, that person has accepted your terms of service, and they cannot come back in future and say, but I didn't know this. You can just be like, no, but you ticked. And you must make sure that you can say confidently that you ticked the box before you placed an order, and that they know that they accepted your terms of service. I just want to show you this quickly. Make sure your online store has this on the checkout page, okay? Back to the privacy policy. This one is very simple again. You can go through this video later on. I mean, you just gotta be sure about what happens when you collect that information that you collect, okay? And all the types of information you collect, including information you collect through cookies that are embedded in the website. So for this, I would highly recommend get some very good templates out there, get it overlooked by a lawyer, make sure that it just has all that nice information that's required in the privacy policy, explaining what the log files are, the cookies are. If you're not technical, you might not know these things, but you need to have this information in there, right? You also have to be very clear that the personal information that you collect is only going to be used for the purposes of the intention that we asked you for the information. For example, the name, the address, all that information is only really going to be used for the purposes of me being able to send you the product in the future. So I'm not going to you are not allowed to now take this people's personal information, put them in some database, sell it to third parties for whatever reasons. You cannot do that. The law, in the past, it was possible and people used to do this, but you cannot do that anymore. You will get into a lot of trouble legally. You will be liable. You must say it in your privacy policy. Okay, and you must stick to it in reality, because if it can be proven that you sold people's personal information for gain or for profit, you will be in trouble. The second thing you're not allowed to do as well is, if somebody has not opted into receiving marketing information, you cannot give the marketing information. So if you've built your e-commerce store on WooCommerce and you followed my tutorials and you connected it to MailChimp or whatever mailing software, that MailChimp automatically connects to this part of your store, where it will take note of if somebody opted in or not. So it will do all of that for you. You don't have to worry about, oh, did this person opt in or not? How do I remember if they did that before I can send them? So if you connect the MailChimp WooCommerce plugin and you do everything right, you don't have to worry about this. This will be done for you automatically. MailChimp will only take the email addresses of people that have opted in. And if somebody did not opt in, that the information will not be available on MailChimp for you to be able to continue to mail them. All right. Then behavioral advertising. This is a very contentious topic, and you must have it in your privacy policy, because people don't know this, right? If you followed some of my previous tutorials, especially the one where I showed you the Google merchant shopping setup, okay, and remember when we went and we got those Google tags, the G tags that you put in on your headers and footers of your website, okay, and you connect that to your Google shopping account and you connect that to your marketing campaign. All of that, what all of that do is that every time somebody visits your website, they get tagged, okay? It's like a tracker gets inserted onto their IP, or then whoever they are, okay? They get tagged. That's the best way to put it. This means that everywhere they go, Google remembers that this is a person that has visited your website, right? So if you have a Google shopping campaign going, or a Facebook shopping campaign going, it means that that person will start seeing your ads everywhere they go. And you've seen this happen to you, right? You go and you visit takealot.com one day and you were checking out these watches, and once you finish visiting takealot.com, everywhere you go, you just see adverts of watches, even watches not sold by Takealot, even watches sold by a different shop, by Stearns, because now Google has tagged you as somebody that has got an affinity for watches. Now everywhere you go, all the people that are advertising watches, that are buying affinity adverts, are selling you watches. So you are doing the exact same thing here. You don't know it, but if you go on a Google and you get a Google shopping campaign, or you get a Facebook shopping campaign, and you follow one of those tutorials of mine, and you insert those tags on your website, whether it's Google tag or a Facebook pixel, trust me, it's already happening. People that are visiting your site are seeing your adverts everywhere they are going if you're paying for adverts. And you have to be clear about it in your privacy policy, that's what that happens, so people know that, okay, I'm now being tagged. And people have an option to go to Facebook and remove these things from their personal profiles. I don't know how effective that is, honestly, because the stuff Google does, honestly, if you knew what Google does, you wouldn't even be on the internet, because they know flipping everything about you. I don't know how much it will help you to try and remove yourself from these whatevers, but we have the links on the policy that you can go and make sure you're untagged, or you opt out in general from Google shopping, and Facebook shopping, and you provide these links for your clients if they want to not to be tagged. And this, by the way, if you do this, it would be holistically. So if you never want to be tagged anywhere on the internet, you can change this setting on Google or on your profile, and Google won't follow you around. Well, that's what they claim. I don't know how true that is, to be honest. There's very little trust I have for this online. I mean, if you knew the things they do, honestly, like you're not, everything you do online is honestly tracked. And to think that maybe you can untag yourself and that will help you, I don't know. You can try it, but all the best. After that, you can then you got to have your contact information, and and that's it. So that's your privacy policy. I've covered two. Okay, we looked at the cookies and privacy policy. It's the same one, right? Then we go to the next one is the refunds and returns policy. This is very, very clear, and you've got to have this. Even if you just say in your refunds, we do not do refunds, we do not do returns. Or if you do returns and refunds, we do them under these conditions. You've got to list this for clients, and it's got to be clear. Okay, and then you have to refer to your refunds policy in your terms of service, because people are going to accept the terms of service. And inside your terms of service, you'll have a paragraph, for example, that says refunds or whatever in your terms of service. Let me just go and have a look there. Prohibited disclaimer, severability, entire governing law, changes terms of service. This I can't see it now because I'm online. But anyway, you are going to refer to your refunds policy in your terms of service, okay? So that you can then write all the required stuff in your refunds policy separately, because you want this as a separate document so people don't get confused about what happens. And people will come to your store, online store, and some of them will specifically look for a refunds policy because they want to know what happens in the store. If I buy things, can I get refunds? And don't be afraid to give refunds, okay? So many people think, oh my gosh, I can't get refunds, I'm gonna lose money. Don't be, okay? If you've done something wrong, or there was a product that was delivered that was not of a good standard, if you lose a little bit of money here, rather lose a little bit of money and keep a client. I always say, rather lose a little bit of money and keep a client than try to be difficult with refunds and have that client go off and write you negative reviews everywhere, and then you lose 100 more clients as a result, especially if the fault was on your side, okay? So in here, I'm very clear about how refunds work, okay? We will give you refunds if you don't receive your whatever. If you ordered something and it never arrived, okay, we will refund you, right? And be very clear about how you will track that as well, because we on this stuff, specifically for the client, we made sure we are only going to be using registered couriers, okay? So registered couriers that track every item from the time it leaves our warehouse to the time it arrives at the client's place. It's being tracked. At any point, I can go online and see exactly where the product is. And when the client signs for it, okay, there's even a picture they take of the client signing for the order and attach it to the whole service. If a client came to me and claimed, you know what, I never received that thing that I ordered, it's been 2 weeks, I can just go back to the courier company, give them the tracking number. They will give me the image of when they handed over the product to the client, and I'll be able to send that to the client, but you received it, here's your picture, here's the person that signed for it, and here's a signature that they signed for it. This is very, very important, okay, because clients sometimes like to take chances, okay? If they think you can get away with it, they're like, oh, I never received this thing, and if you cannot prove it, you might have to refund the person. So before you put this in your policy, make sure that you are using a service that is trackable. So if you use things like, if you're drop shipping and you're using things like, the drop shipping courier service and all of that, and especially if you're drop shipping from AliExpress, you're going to get into trouble with this. This is the biggest problem for drop shipping, in my experience, and this is where people lose the most money, is a lot of the courier services that the drop shippers use are unreliable. You cannot track the parcels. Sometimes the parcels never arrive, okay? And then you're sitting there with clients processing refunds. In my early days when I started e-commerce, I used to do a lot of drop shipping, and I used to lose like a good 30 to 40% of my income having to refund people who never received their products. And not only did I lose that income from that, but I lost it from the future services, from all the bad reviews I would get. Okay, until I was like, no, I need to rethink this drop shipping. Dropshipping from suppliers and suppliers that use a more reliable mode of tracking and shipping products. But if you are happy about your mode of tracking and you are happy that your clients are going to receive, you've got to have this in your terms of service. What happens in the case of a refund? And another possible area where you want to give a refund is if they receive substandard items. Okay, so if somebody ordered a cushion and it arrived and got a nice big hole in it, and they take a picture of it, they send it to you, you can process them a refund, okay? Or send them another one, whatever. So you gotta explain all of this, the exchanges, the refunds, in what form, in what sense do you give an exchange? In what sense do you give a refund? Personally, I like to simplify things, and this is what we did for this client. We said, okay, fine, we are just going to do refunds. Okay, if you receive something that's damaged, we will just refund you. If you receive something that is if you never receive, we just refund you. It's up to you if you decide to re-buy it again instead of trying to deal with exchanges, because exchanges, you must also note when there is an exchange involved, the people have to courier back to you the items. You must check them and you must then recourier them. And then there's also that courier cost, and sometimes the courier cost alone can be more than the value of the item. So in this specific store, we just made a decision with the client, we're not going to do exchanges. But if something warrants an exchange, we'll just give you a refund instead. And then you can decide to repurchase the item again. If you actually wanted an exchange, you have the money back in your account and you can use it to repurchase. So we don't have to deal with send me the items back and who's going to pay for that and da, da, da. Because if you want to accept exchanges, Then you have to explain in your policy how the items will be shipped back to you, right? And how long that will take and how long they have to ship the items back to you. The limit is also important. For example, someone can come back 6 months later and say, okay, no, the stuff is going to hold out in exchange. You've got to specify that you've got 10 days from the time you receive the item to claim, to make a possible claim. You've got 5 days, or you got 2 days, or you got a month, whatever. You got to be very clear about those things. And then you got 2 days to send the item back to me, or you got 10 days to send it back. You can't make the claim now 10 days after the delivery and then wait 6 months before you send it back. Things like that, you gotta specify all those things in your policy. So this then becomes very, very involved and very, very important part of doing e-commerce. And the last thing I want to discuss is the shipping policy. This also must not be forgotten, and this must not just be an attachment to your terms of service. This is a separate policy that you have to write for your business, okay? In this policy, what is really important that you've got to explain to people is how long, the most important thing you must have in this document is how long does it take for people to receive their items when they purchase from your store. This is something everybody asks, and from our customer service, this is the one question we get the most. How long is it going to take? How long must I wait? This is the most important question on clients' minds. So you've got to answer this in your shipping policy document. All right. So you're going to start and say, okay, we are only shipping to South Africa. In this case, put it in the, if you're only shipping to one country. If you're shipping to like 5 countries, you've decided you're going to do South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Wara, Kenya, put that in there so that people know which countries you're shipping to. If you're shipping to the whole world, put that in there as well. But I would rather prefer, even if I'm shipping to the whole world, rather list all those countries, however number they are, so that in case there's like a country like in the middle of nowhere that you didn't know about, that shipping services don't go to, and then somebody makes an order from there, but you say you're shipping to the whole world. So rather list the countries you're shipping to than be generic, okay? Then the processing time, again, there's another one that you've got to mention here. Like in this specific case, the client makes these cushions. Some of them are handmade, and some of them are specialty made, different materials. So if maybe it takes 10 days to prepare the order, you've got to be clear about it here, that it takes 5 to 10 days just for us to prepare the order. Then it's going to take 1 to 2 days for me to get the order to you. Or in total, it takes 5 to 10 days, like what we're saying here, because we're already accounting for all those things. And please, rather be on the safe side, okay? So if you know for sure that you will always be able to deliver in like 3 days, then give yourself +2, okay? And then make it like 5 to 7 days, okay? Do not limit yourself with this, because people don't read this policy. Most of the time, you are going to only come to this policy when you have a dispute. And then you're going to say, no, I did say in the policy 5 to 10 days. It hasn't been 5 to 10 days yet, right? Most of the times, these policies are used to just clear out disputes. But do clarify how long orders take. If you want to be specific about how the price of shipping, you put it in here. In a lot of cases, the price is dependent on the weight and the location, right? And maybe you calculate the price at the time that you're placing the order. You have to write that in here as well, that the shipping price is calculated at exit weight depending on the weight. In our specific case, we know we are couriering cushions, and we're only like making one type of product in the store, so we know exactly how much the shipping is going to cost. So we just put that price in there, and when that changes, you can come and change it in here as well. And by the way, you do not have to inform people when you're changing stuff, right? Damages, all of that, refunds, refer to your refunds policy. So these are the 4 main policies you really got to have in your e-commerce store, guys, and do it right. And if you have a little bit of money, rather be on the safe side, especially if you're intending to be in this business for a long time. Rather be on the safe side. Get a lawyer to look it over, okay? To look over your policies, make sure you don't have any loopholes, specifically a lawyer that's a bit experienced in e-commerce, okay? Or if you don't have a lot of money, just have a look at other people's e-commerce stores, okay? This is what I did when I got started. I went and I looked at really good e-commerce stores that I want to emulate, your Herpabilis, those Superabilis, super stores, right? Have a look at those stores, check out their policy, because they've got these policies. Do your research and pick up 5 for different store websites. Go and check their policies out, copy them, write them down, and figure out which parts and pieces you want to use from them. And you can learn from them. I'm not saying copy and paste their policies, but use them to guide what you want to have in your policy, especially if you want to make sure you don't miss anything. Because the most important thing about the policies is not to miss anything, right? The wording itself is good, but it's not as important as if you didn't document something and then you have a conflict with a client and you've got no word, no sort of agreed policy to address that conflict, and then a client sues you and you don't have money to be dealing with this, especially if you're a small business starting out. Just make sure that you're covered. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope this was informative for you. I know it wasn't as entertaining in some of our other videos, but this is very, very important work to get done when you're doing e-commerce. You gotta have this right so that you don't get yourself into trouble. So thank you guys for watching. See you next time.